welcome to the 85th episode of the Earthborne Games podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Navarro. I'm joined, as always, by the staff of Earthborne Games, which includes myself. I have Evan Simonet.
Hey.
Maxine Newman.
Hello.
And Andrew Fischer.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. Anders is on a little sabbatical, but he will return. In the meantime, I'll be hosting at least this one. Maybe I don't know. I had an idea of maybe doing getting a guest host in, and I did reach out to somebody in the last minute, but he was not available. So we'll see. Maybe next week we'll mix it up and bring someone in here. If anyone has any suggestions for our guest hosts, please feel free to throw it in the Discord.
I was thinking about other of our industry friends, but some of them I don't know if they're host. They have the host charisma, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. It's I think there's plenty of people who would be fun to have on, but you got to have a bit of that. As the kids say, the Riz, right? That's what they call it.
Oh my god. Yep. You would know about. You actually have kids of slang age. I haven't.
Yeah.
I'm in that depth right now where I haven't interacted with the youths in so long, and my kid isn't old enough to actually be taking slang home from school, so I have no idea what the kids are saying.
Yeah, I don't think the kids are actually saying Riz anymore. I think that already came and went.
Shoot! I just caught up with the slang and left behind already.
I could be wrong. My kids don't say it anyway, but I usually chastise them for saying. We're using slang because it just sounds so dumb, but it's also fun at the same time.
I wish slang went through cycles like clothing styles, so we could come back to raspberries or some sort of old timey, something or other. I don't even know if that's one. I think it's just from The Simpsons, but that would be fun.
Do you get any slang from Signy yet?
No, just she's starting to quote one of her favorite movies, which is Nightmare Before Christmas. So I actually fun. I usually when Megan takes her to daycare in the morning, I'll go out there and I'll help get her in her car seat. And when I clipped her in this morning, she said, "Nice job, Bone Daddy," which is a quote from Nightmare Before Christmas, it was really cute.
That's awesome.
In reference to Jack Skellington.
That's incredible. That's
so great.
Keep that up. Whatever you're doing.
I have the unfortunate bad habit of saying word, in response to things. Someone will say something, I'll be like, word, because of my brother. And when I say that around younger people, they're like, what are you doing? What is that?
You're multiple generations behind, Maxine.
Yeah.
Word to that. We have a great show for you today. We essentially have a listener question extravaganza. We've had quite a backlog of listener questions, so we're going to do our best to get through them, including some Hub Roll Eidolon questions. But before that, we'll begin with what's happening. What is happening? Someone tell me what's happening. I have no idea what's happening. Pretend I have no idea what's happening.
Well, we are. We talked about this, I think, last episode as well, but the process is long. We are preparing for our Chinese printing of the game. I do know this is kind of a preemptive listener question, but there was at least one person in the podcast chat on the Discord who was kind of curious. I think you just mentioned offhand in the what's happening, oh, we're printing in China, and they were like, "What's up with that?" So
I don't remember that I'd mentioned it before, but maybe I hadn't. It's something I've been talking pretty openly about for quite some time, but maybe I've never talked about it on the podcast.
We might have mentioned it when we first made the plans, months and months and months ago. But I don't know if we've talked about it recently, besides that episode a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I can talk about that a little bit. So essentially, this is something we've been planning for a while. We've had a Chinese partner on for a very long time, and also a Korean partner who's been working on a localization of the game. And for a long time, and years ago, my goal was to eventually do a printing in China for Asian markets, and that's essentially what we're doing. But because of the timing of it, and because of some things that have happened with some of our other partners and with delays and things, that printing has expanded somewhat. So we also have our Czech partner will be on here as well. The reason they're on this printing is, one, there's no way they could have had their stuff ready for our previous printing. Two, because they're a very, very small market. They're getting a very small number of games. It's not really affordable for us to do it in the States or in Europe. So this is an excellent opportunity for us to bring Earthborne Rangers to a smaller market. And then our German partner missed the deadline for our European printing. And we don't have another printing on the horizon for quite some time after this one. So it was either, get the German products printed here as well, or we're not going to fulfill that Legacy of the Ancestors pledge for another year, which is just not acceptable. So the German expansions are being printed on this as well. And then my intention has always been to do some printing of English for the Asian markets. But since Rangers has sold really well in the US and Europe, we don't have another reprint on the horizon. This is a good opportunity to try out another factory and see how they do with the core game. So we'll be doing essentially the restock of Rangers for US and Europe as part of this print run as well, since we're doing it. So it'll be an interesting experience, and we'll see how it goes. This doesn't mean that we're not going to be printing in the US anymore. We will still do that, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But that's it in a nutshell. The goal is to have Earthborne Rangers, at least the core game, in stock essentially forever from now on. So hopefully this printing will arrive in time to be able to cover that. But we'll see. I think it's going to be kind of tight.
Speaking of printing stuff, I think we're sending a staff member out to a printer. Do you know anything about that?
Someone's going to Michigan.
Yeah, I'm going to Delano on Sunday. So just a couple days after the posting of this podcast, I'm going to go to Delano to see the assembly of the new things that are being produced right now. Assembly starts at the end of this week, so I should be there smack dab in the middle of it. We'll be able to observe their improved assembly pipeline, their improved quality control checks, and I'm going to leave there with tremendous confidence that what's going to come out of that factory people are going to be excited about.
So last time you and I did a press check, right as stuff was initially rolling off. Can you talk a bit about why? And now you're coming right basically near the end of the line where they're getting assembled.
Yes.
So do you want to talk about why we chose the earlier in the process last time and why you're choosing later in the process this time?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I think the reason why we went earlier in the process before is because we were really trying to match colors, and that was the goal.
Different printings.
Yeah, match colors, match materials, and it's really good that we went there when we did and saw it at that early stage. Now that everything's been established as far as like the colors and materials, then I don't really necessarily need to weigh on that apart from us looking at the proofs, obviously. And honestly, the thing that I've been most concerned about, based on the issues we've had with the US printings of the core game and the expansions, are the quality control measures, and to make sure that to see that they've recalibrated their machines and learned from the last year's worth of printing experience, so that everything that's coming off the line looks fantastic. So that's what I expect to see, and I look forward to telling everyone how amazing it all is when I get back.
And you're going to bring me home a copy.
I will. Well, hopefully I'll bring home multiple copies.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Well, so we're getting really close. We're getting very, very close. We're closer than ever. Every day, every moment, we're closer. Even this post will be even closer. And then the last thing is we got these. the test pressings of the vinyl. I think Evan's got copies as well. Yeah, it's the
nice.
all four discs right here. I listened to a few of them. I have a pretty old, simple record player, so it's not the best for checking quality, but they all worked.
Nice.
And I think Corey listened to it and Evan listened to it, and you guys said it sounded great, right, Evan?
Yep. Yeah, it did. And I was a little nervous because my record player is newer, but I wasn't born in a time where records were really, I mean, they were around and stuff, but I don't know how to calibrate them. So I was messing with it troubleshooting until the balance of the arm worked, and it sounded great. So
nice.
I didn't screw that up.
Yeah. So if you're listening and you got yourself a copy of the limited edition vinyl, that should be coming your way sometime next month if everything goes well. Our manufacturer said we're still on target for sending it out in October. They're sending it to us. I don't know if we'll be able to get the orders out in October, but we'll see. You know, I'm like eternally skeptical now. So like until it actually like lands in my lap, I don't want to make too many promises, but so far so good. They're telling us we're on track for October, and I don't have experience working with these guys, or else I probably would just add a couple months just to make sure that we can achieve that goal. But it sounds like sometime next month these should start going out, so that's pretty exciting. All right. Is there anything else happening?
Oh, there's lots of stuff happening, but we don't drag out the like development details, especially like since some of our development stuff we haven't announced yet right now.
Yeah.
So there's other things happening behind the scenes.
There are things happening. Yeah.
There's always more happening, which is great. Trust that there's always more happening, and that we are working very hard. All right. So since I'm hosting, I thought I'd mix everything up. I'd throw the whole show on its head, and that we would start before we dive into our deep Scrooge McDuck like mailbag. I thought we could start with the stuff we're into, or the things we're excited about in life, and then go in the mailbag after that.
That works for me.
Awesome. So let's start with Fischer. Fischer, what are you into?
Yeah, we actually, one of our listeners asked about this, was expecting, I think, Maxine and Anders to be diving into Silksong, but I think I'm the primary member of our crew who took a dive into Silksong. Has anybody else played it? Maxine, did you play it?
Not yet. Okay. I plan on it at some point, but I've got too much going on right now. So, well, it'll have to wait.
So yeah, my two items for stuff we're into, I kind of have two slightly hot takes on. So Silksong, I've been playing it. There's been a lot of discourse since it came out about its difficulty.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait for this.
I'm not all the way through it yet, but I am, from my understanding, most of the way through Act 2 at this point.
How many hours is that?
Oh, I don't know the tracker, but I've probably put 50 or 60 hours into this game across the last.
This is Act 2 of 3? This is a 3-act structure?
Yeah, there's technically 3 act, but you can finish the game in Act 2 is my understanding, but I don't know a ton. So it could still, Hollow Knight really ramped up at the end difficulty-wise, but I'm going to say I don't think it's that much harder than Hollow Knight. I don't even know if it's harder than Hollow Knight, to be honest. Like, and this is not a get good kind of like comment. I am terrible at these games. I was awful at Hollow Knight. I washed out of Hollow Knight. And like Silksong's definitely a little more punishing in certain ways. They have a lot. You only have 5 health to start. You unlock more as you're playing, but like, and a lot of enemies will do like 2 damage or 3 damage, which is like, and some of the walkbacks from benches are a little worse than Hollow Knight's walkbacks. So like, that's a little punishing. But Hornet, the main character, she is so much faster, and like her ability to like pogo off enemies and things is just so much greater that like I feel a lot more empowered. A lot of the struggle I had with Hollow Knight is I would see attacks and just be unable to pilot your little protagonist out of the way in time. Whereas with Hornet, I never have a problem like using her dash or pogoing off a guy to get away from things. And so, well, I've had some like pretty brutal fights. The one that ends Act 1 is if you don't take the back way, the one that ends Act 1 is rough. But like I find that like she is so easy to pilot and like appeals to my game design, my game playing sensibilities that like I think I'm having a little easier time. And my other slight hot take here is I think that some of the people who are salty at Silksong had malleable plastic young brains when Hollow Knight came out. They're now the fact that they're just older and slower.
Sure, yeah. Like you were in your early 20s. Like you were in your early 20s when Hollow Knight came out, but then now you're approaching 30.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, how long ago did it come out?
7 years?
Seven or 8 years. Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, I remember Anders telling me to play it, and just one of those. I just have anxiety about trying things that people are like really enthusiastically promoting because I'm afraid I'm going to let them down by not enjoying it. So I just haven't got into it yet.
Anyway, I'm not trying to say that Silksong is easy, but I am saying that I don't think it's that much harder than Hollow Knight.
That's what Sebastian's been telling me because he started playing it and he's not super far along in it either, but he said that he said it hasn't been as bad as what people are saying. But again, it could just be like maybe there's like one boss later on that's just like the thing that makes people lose it, you know?
That one at the end of Act 1 was pretty brutal. Up until then, I didn't lose track of my attempts, but I had lost track of my attempts on the last judge. That one was rough.
Yeah, I think it's funny. Oh, so go ahead, Maxine.
My friend Josh was saying that he just beat the boss of Act 1, and he didn't give any details as to what it was, but he was like, yeah, it took me like 20 or 30 tries.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's not, for like a Souls-like, that's not unheard of.
Again, it's a little brutal because of the run back. The run back was a little rough.
Yeah.
That sucks.
But yeah, then my other thing I'm into, this one will be a little quicker because I just started it. But like, so I listen to audiobooks when I run through the podcasts I listen to. And I'll try to listen to like more kind of casual books, like popcorny books. And I've heard a lot about Dungeon Crawler Carl has been this series a lot of people have been talking about in the last couple of years, especially like BookTube and BookTok. I see a lot of people talking about this. So I was like, okay, I'll read this series. And I guess my hot take right now, I'm only a bit into book 1, but this book series is so dumb. It's fun, but like it's like Ready Player One without any of the subtlety and nuance in world building. And I understand what I'm saying there. Like,
which you told me that earlier, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Well, like it's a similar premise where it's like very gamey, but Ready Player One at least like sets up why this believably would exist in this world, right? Like, you know, it's this VR virtual reality thing, and like the guy who built it has nostalgia for the 80s and wanted and like was obsessed with games, and so wanted to create this Willy Wonka style game to inherit his fortune, but he's obsessed with the 80s, so it works in like I'm like, okay, this makes sense why it is a gamified 80s nostalgia thing. And I don't think it's not really a spoiler. This is like almost immediately upon the book starting, it is explained to you. Dungeon Crawler Carl's explanation is basically aliens did it, right?
Like they put us into pods and then our brains are like in a virtual world, or
they just end the world to start mining it, and it turns out the world it's you're part of this greater universe, and like it was seeded to like mine, and now the remaining few million humans have to compete in this giant dungeon they built inside the planet and are aired on this like intergalactic game show. But it's like, so
can you imagine the budget for that?
Yeah,
it's out of control. Like you just imagine the ad dollars that must come in to make that worthwhile for them.
Well, they talk a lot about that. It is growing on me a little, and like there's kind of this interesting juxtaposition between like the silliness and zaniness of this alien game show and like the really, really dark stuff that like wiping out humanity and making them fight to the death. You know, like the juxtaposition of those two things is something that the book seems to be kind of playing in kind of this commentary on like loose commentary on like, you know, our capitalistic consumerist society, right? Like, and how it makes people disposable and things. So there's some interesting stuff there a little bit, but like, I think I want that world building that makes me feel grounded. And like Ready Player One was popcorny fun, but I still felt grounded. Whereas here I don't really, and that's been a hard speed bump for me to get over.
Yeah.
People have said book 2 is amazing, so I'm giving it 2 books, which might seem like a lot, but I'm just listening to them while I work out and like commute. So
it might be faster if you actually just read it than listening to it. Sounds like
it might be, but like, you know, this way I could do it while I'm driving to Matt's house because Matt lives 45 minutes away for some reason. You know?
Right. That's fair. Awesome.
Anyway, that's what I'm into right now.
Well, I'm glad you talked, because that's been showing up on my YouTube feed. I kind of thought maybe it was one of those like book/game things. I didn't realize it was just a novel.
So it's part of this genre they call lit RPG, which like sounds like it would be like gamified in some way. But no, it's just a book that tells a story that is like heavily steeped and like influenced by games. So like
Gotcha.
This is this game created by aliens, and I really should get into all these details. We're gonna be here forever. But like, it's inexplicably like a video game. It just, they override all sorts of, for some reason, the aliens use hyper technology to just override all sorts of parts of reality. You don't carry stuff around, you put them in your inventory, right? Like you have stat points that modify you, and like so it's just like taking video game RPG conventions and plastering them on reality, you know?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Maybe there's
like
a
an
big
isekai
twist.
I'm like I said, there's that juxtaposition, and I'm very interested to see. I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun, even though it's kind of dumb.
Evan, are you enjoying anything, even though it's dumb?
Yeah, you know, well, this time of year I always get the enthusiasm for Halloween, and the cooler temperatures always start to ramp up, especially like in August. So I've been really, both Megan and I have been really looking forward to this time of year. There's a lot of things to look forward to. We get together with family a lot, and there's a lot of birthdays and a lot of just fun activities that we do in the fall. So, so I'm just, in an open-ended sense, I'm excited about this time of year, and it feels like more energizing than summer. I get excited about summer in the spring, but it becomes like a trudge to get through it for me. And this house doesn't cool very well, so I just have to deal with this, like these window units loud and rattling, and I'm always worried about them breaking down. And now I can have windows open and, you know, feel cold at night, which I love. You know, I love going to sleep when it's cool out. I am very nostalgic for this time of year, as most people are, and I can kind of feel like this vicarious enjoyment through my daughter, just because she gets really excited about Halloween now. Like I mentioned, she really likes Nightmare Before Christmas. So yeah, and it also just feels more like creatively inspiring for me. Like Andrew, I mentioned when we met on Friday how I had this like spooky story idea for a short story, and I always find myself thinking about stuff like that more and more this time of year, and thinking about it, that doesn't lend itself very well to like being a writer as a hobby. If I'm only getting excited about writing, you know, at a certain time of the year. But there's something to be said about just being excited, sustaining an excitement by thinking about things. I don't really know how to articulate it, but just thinking about the creative projects that I, you know, can get into is fun. So,
well, if you're only energized to write in the fall, better it's a hobby than your profession.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I make no claims that I'm like, you know, that it's something that could ever turn into anything, but it's a fun thing to do. But yeah,
I agree with that. I think there's a lot of I think categorizing the feeling of autumn coming on as nostalgia, I think is pretty accurate. There's something about it that feels that way. And I think I agree with you on the creative portion of it. Like, I don't know what it is, but yeah, I've always felt more, maybe it's because it's like time to like cozy up. I don't know, but I always like want to read more in the fall. I always like, I do get more excited about writing, that particular outlet for creativity.
Yeah. And that's not to say the spring isn't like that for me as well, but it's just
it's a different vibe though. It's
definitely
it's a different feeling.
Yeah, I'm with you. I love autumn, and I know like a lot of people get like seasonal depression around winter, but I get it in summer. So as soon as like summer breaks and it's autumn, I'm like, oh yes, thank goodness.
Speaking of depression, Maxine, you've got a couple things on your list that I'm interested to hear about. What are you into?
Well, I finished the DLC for Cyberpunk, so I moved on to a new game, which me and my brother both picked up at the same time. It's called Hell Is Us. I've been like following this game for a while, and it kind of snuck under the radar for me. Like I didn't realize it came out until my brother texted me, and so we bought it at the same time, and we were like, okay, the cool thing about this game is that there's no guidance. There's no map. There's no HUD. There's no like mini map. There's no objective markers. If someone tells you like, go visit the blacksmith, it doesn't just like tell you here's where the blacksmith is. They'll give you directions. They'll be like, go southwest along the road until you see a blue swing and then turn right. And you have to like remember that and do it.
I'm into that.
Yeah, it's super cool. And it really like engages like your brain. And like you have to actually pay attention. So me and my brother were like, okay, if this game is not going to give us any guidance, one of the cool things we can do is help each other out and like, give each other hints and stuff like that. And then he immediately fell off of the game because it was too hard.
Was that the aspect of it that was too hard, or was there something else to it?
He loved the exploration of it. It was the combat that was too hard for him. I have not found the combat to be that hard personally, but that's because I play difficult games a lot, and Dave doesn't. So
is this is it a fantasy setting?
It's like modern day sci-fi horror.
Okay.
There's like you're in like this fictional country, but it's clearly on Earth, with like real world Earth technology. But there's like monsters and creatures, and there's also like a civil war going on, and it's very brutal. Like the world is very grim, very dark. They do not pull any punches.
So
definitely
it's
not
grim
for kids.
And dark.
It's you would maybe categorize it as grimdark. But it's super cool, and there's like weird creatures that move in like this very creepy Silent Hill-esque way that I like, and the combat is very Dark Souls inspired. There's a stamina bar, there's dodge rolling and blocking and parrying and all of that Dark Souls stuff. What's really brutal about it is that your stamina scales with your health. So if you take a bunch of hits, your stamina bar goes down with your health.
Oh no,
which is that's just mean.
That is
mean. Just cruel.
Yeah.
But actually, like once you get used to it, it's pretty forgiving. Like if you die, it takes you back to the last save point, but everything that you found stays found. All the enemies that you killed stay dead. So
okay.
It's pretty forgiving. You don't have to like run back to your body to recover all your points or whatever.
Okay. Okay.
So even if I die a bunch of times, I'm like, whatever. I'm like right back in the mix. The only problem is that the 3 games that I was playing are No Man's Sky, Cyberpunk, and Hell Is Us. The 3 games that overheat my PS5 are No Man's Sky, Cyberpunk, and Hell Is Us.
It overheats.
Every other game works fine. My PS5 is very old, so it's not a problem with the game. It's a problem with my PS5.
Okay.
I need to get it looked at or something, or get a new one, God forbid. But
maybe this cat hair.
Yeah, time to upgrade to the Pro.
Yeah, right? No, I'm honestly very strongly considering it for a bunch of reasons. 1, so that it doesn't overheat. 2, so I can play No Man's Sky with like really nice graphics and Cyberpunk with really nice graphics. And 3, so I can have a PS5 at my partner's house and I'll have to lug it back and forth every time we want to play something together.
I think you made a very good case for investing in a PS5 Pro.
Yeah. Yeah, it's either that or I save up for a vacation or something. So, or PSVR 2, that would be cool too. But
not
anyway,
to derail, but is No Man's Sky is it really good now or something?
It's
been
really
good for a while.
Yeah, it's been good for a while. They've been updating it like every few months for the last 5-6 years. And over time, it's gone from it's the biggest redemption arc, I think, in gaming history.
Wow.
It's gone from like having very little features to having incredibly robust systems and lots of stuff to do. The most recent expansion added a new type of ship called a Corvette that you can build yourself, like out of various parts.
That's what I've seen.
And you can
I've seen screenshots of that. People's builds.
Like the normal ships are like little fighters that you hop in and like you can't really walk inside them. They're just like tiny little cockpit. But like these Corvettes, you can actually walk inside. They have an interior. You can deck them out in decorations and have like different like modules and stuff. It's super cool. Yeah.
I think my favorite post about this was somebody when that new patch came out. Somebody posted like, "Has anybody told Hello Games that they can stop now?"
Yeah, they've redeemed themselves. You can charge for expansions now. Like all this stuff is free too. All of their huge updates are free. It's wild. Like you guys can probably charge $10-$20 for each of these DLCs and make bank.
I don't know how that works for them, but whatever they're doing, if it works for them, then
yeah. Right.
Bless you.
Kudos. Their new game, by the way, I'm going off rails, but their new game, it's called Light No Fire, looks incredible.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
I'm very interested.
That looks super cool.
Yeah. So especially if it applies
in 10 years, it'll be really good.
Well, I was going to say, especially if it applies all of the lessons that they learned from No Man's Sky, which can only assume that it will.
Well,
they this time we're going to get it right.
I don't mean to sound like such a hater.
No, it's fine. When No Man's Sky first came out, I played it and I was like, okay, yeah, it's fine. And then like every few months, an expansion would come out and I would play it again, and I'd play for another 20 hours, and then I'd be like, okay. And then a new one would come out and I'd play for another 20 hours. I'd be like, okay. And now I've played like 300 hours. But they did like expressly mention that some of the systems that they're building in No Man's Sky right now, they're using in Light No Fire. Like the Corvette ship building, they're using for like boat building in Light No Fire.
Wow.
They're using like the same mechanics. So I feel like it's going to release it's going to be good when it comes out, hopefully.
So is there mist or fog in No Man's Sky, or is there? I'm trying to transition to your other thing.
Oh, good point. There is. Well, they added like lots of new worlds that have different like weather effects and stuff. But nothing is quite as foggy as Silent Hill, which is the other thing that I put on my list. Silent Hill F is coming out in 2 days. So it's not something I'm into yet. It's something I'm excited about in life, because when that comes out, oh boy, I'm going to play.
So wait, am I to understand? I thought Silent Hill, they don't do like lettered sequels, right? They number them, don't they?
Yeah,
This is the sequel to Silent Hill E.
Well, they did like Silent Hill 1, 2, 3, 4. And then they did like Silent Hill Downpour and Silent Hill Homecoming and like all these other non-numbered sequels.
Yeah.
And then they kind of just stopped for like a long time. They didn't do a Silent Hill game for like years. And now they have a new studio that's doing like remakes of the old Silent Hill games. Okay. And then they have this other new studio that is making this game, which is Silent Hill F. And I don't know why it's called Silent Hill F. I have honestly no clue, but
I think it's Silent Hill Series F.
Okay.
It says
that was an Xbox joke.
Yeah.
I was gonna say F as in F. This game is scary.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's actually Silent Hill.
Silent Hill. That's awesome. But like, what's cool is this one is set in like 1980s Japan, which I'm super into. So
okay, cool.
Very different setting, very different vibe, and it looks really good, and it's gotten very good reviews. So
okay, all right, cool. Well, I look forward to hearing more about that when you play it.
Definitely will. Yeah.
Speaking of sequels,
me, I love horror.
Yeah, speaking of sequels, there's no horror, but I've been I finished the main story of Death Stranding 2 a couple of days ago. And
awesome.
I can say that game is great. I talked about Death Stranding on this podcast a couple years ago. I think Death Stranding 2 is, I think, mechanically better than Death Stranding, but it's also the same. It's the same game, just new region you're exploring. Pretty fun area to explore. You're mostly on Australia. But it's the same gameplay. You are delivering packages all around this world and bringing people together by being an awesome guy that it's linking everyone into this big network. And everyone you talk to is super nice to you and appreciative of you coming by and helping them out. So in a lot of ways, like I said when I talked about it before, I think Death Stranding is a lot like Rangers. It's got a lot of Rangers vibes. It's got a lot of darker stuff. But I will also say that I think that the tone, by and large, is extremely positive. And I think the ending of this game, where I think I just was talking about just a few episodes ago, about the ending of Death Stranding 1, which is I felt like the only thing that I did not care for, because it was very typical Kojima, like, I'm going to make you sit through an hour of cutscenes, and I'm going to bang you over the head with the themes until you cry uncle. This was not like that at all. It was far more human and touching, and also just delightfully absurd in parts. That I just once in a while, just like some of the final like boss fight sequences, which were largely cinematic. They did a really good job of breaking up the incredible number of cinematics, which there's still plenty of them. Don't get me wrong, plenty of cinematics, but they did a good job of better job of breaking them up to have you do things in between them. And this pretty awesome, ridiculous final boss fight sequence that has just some incredible moments. I won't spoil them if anyone is planning on playing this game, but I give it a thumbs up.
How many biscuit delivery basket biscuits would you give it?
I'd give it five biscuits out of 5 biscuits. Yeah, nice. I'd have 5 biscuits in my basket for Death Stranding 2. Highly recommend it. I think it's awesome. And then the other thing I've been playing all this past, like, I don't know, feels like 1,000 months, is Arcs. I played in a Arcs campaign along with Fischer here and Corey and Patrick Leader, and we just finished up our campaign. We played 4 games. We played the vanilla game to start so we could learn how to play. And then we kicked off a campaign. Campaigns are 3 sessions. And we did pretty well the first game and the second game. Those were like right on the heels of each other. But then it took us forever to get game 2 scheduled and played. And then a little bit longer to get the third and final one. But I felt like I remembered more from 2 to 3 than I did from 1 to 2. And I think, overall, I thought it was pretty good. I think it's really interesting. I think the way that they positioned this product, the way they presented it with the core game. You can just buy the core game. It's this super tight, fast playing 4X inspired space game. It's just points based. You're just trying to get the most points, and whoever gets the most points wins. But then they add this campaign game, which is this expansion that is $40 more expensive than the core game. That essentially just takes everything that you thought you understood about the game and just throws it all in a blender. It's kind of like a mix of, I would say, like Twilight Imperium and Cosmic Encounter, and maybe a little bit of Oath in there, or Root.
The way I flippantly described it was you just take Oath and put it on top of Arcs, and then you're going to play that.
Yeah, it felt like that. Yeah, so like, and it was interesting. We did get, I think, a pretty good total experience, because Corey was playing a pretty complex. Because anyway, so in the campaign, you get a special alien ability. You have these ambitions you're trying to accomplish. You're constantly adding new rules to the game. There's all these cards that you're drafting and putting onto your tableau that change the way that you interact with the game. I think Corey was playing a very complex character. I think you and I, Fish, were playing easy ones, the 1 pip ones.
Yeah,
and
one
I
out
don't
of
remember
3
what Patrick's was. I don't know if his was a 3 or a 2. The
I think his might have been a 2.
Yeah, so pretty good spread. And then I was the only person to not complete my ambition in the second act, mostly because I totally forgot how the mechanics worked, and I did not realize I should have been doing something to help me win until like essentially the game was over. But then I played when you fail an ambition, so if you succeed in ambition, you get to keep playing that character. You always get a chance to switch it up, but you don't get the opportunity to continue to play as a role unless you succeed at your ambition the previous chapter. So I got a chance to play a different role the third chapter, which was a 3 complexity thing that has like a silver bullet victory condition as part of it. So that felt a lot like Root, where I didn't really feel like I had any choices to make. I was just kind of fulfilling the role the game wanted me to fulfill. Like I was just this like destructive force that had this like thing that you needed to pay attention to that prevented other people potentially from winning, but was mostly just a nuisance. But yeah, I think overall I liked it. I don't know if I'd play another campaign, but I would definitely play the core game again. What did you think about it, Fischer?
Yeah, I thought like it's wild to me. Each fate, which is the different like aliens that we play as, pretty dramatically changes the game by the third game in your little campaign. And that was pretty like it pretty dramatically changes how the game functions. But honestly, everybody had a chance of winning that third game. Like there were moments when everybody was like, we were all like, oh, we got to stop Patrick. Now we got to stop Andrew. Like, you know, like
that felt like Oath. That felt a lot like Oath to me. Like Oath is very
like
swingy that way. It's like it clearly paints a target on your back.
Yeah, you have the tall poppy that you need to chop down, right?
Yeah.
I was amazed at how we all kind of stayed in balance leading up to that end. That was actually pretty impressive to me. Yeah. I do think you have a point that yours was pretty pre-programmed. You had, through the tool of completing ambitions, you maybe had some other avenues potential, but like yours was a lot more limited than ours were.
Yeah, and like I think the board position was really important. Like your tableau that you brought into game 3 was so strong, and the fact that like I did so poorly in game 2, I had like jack shit for a tableau, so I had no opportunity to do any of those ambitions. I don't think I had a chance.
I had pretty tight grip on most of the ambitions that game. It was a little brutal. My little like set of council cards was pretty wild.
It was really impressive. The number of times I tried to do something or someone tried to do something and be like, well, actually, and then it's like, God.
Yeah. The fact that I could just, anytime anybody sent people to the Galactic Council, I would just arrest them all and imprison them.
And then execute them for trophies.
Yeah, and then execute them or press gang them. Yeah.
So much.
But I think, honestly, it's an incredibly impressive game. Both base arcs is just, it's impressive in how honed it is. Like everything you do is an interesting and tough decision. And in some ways, like it's this marvel of design, but like it almost makes it kind of exhausting to play. Because every decision is meaningful, which is cool, but also, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I would say, and then like Blighted Reach is just so much. Like our break of a couple months between game 1 and 2 did not help at all.
No.
But like there is just so much going on that like I really recommend to people like play base game arcs several times. Like we played once to prepare. I would play it like, I feel like Blighted Reach is for if you've played a bunch of arcs and you want to play another game on top of arcs, right? Your group has arcs down like clockwork. You want to play another game, then I think Blighted Reach is really going to sing for you. But like we were kind of like grabbing the reins and holding on as we piloted through it.
Yeah, that's how I felt. I was just like gripping the table. Like, I don't know. It's like I'm just doing whatever that the game tells me to do. We'll see if it works.
Even Patrick sometimes be like, "This is a lot," and we'd be like, "Who makes this game?"
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a good time. Good time. All right. So I think this is a perfect segue now into our listener question extravaganza as we dive into the digital mailbag. Feel the warm pixels of the questions surround us.
Get your blue light glasses, Maxine.
Watch out for those worms.
Yeah. 1 second.
Yes.
There we go.
There you go. Perfect. God of Toasts asks, how are any of you planning to get any work done now that Hollow Knight Silksong is finally released? Yeah,
easily.
In seriousness, though, how do you as designers balance your time between enjoying creative works made by others and creating yourselves? Maxine, you play a lot of video games. How do you feel about this?
Well, it's I feel like I make excuses like, oh, it's research, like but the truth is it's just like I don't know, like a hobby that I can't put down, and it helps that I don't have like kids like the three of you do.
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't know how you guys do it. I know how I do it. But yeah, how do we balance our time?
How does anyone balance their time between the things they enjoy doing for fun and their occupation or their obligations? It's like, I think you just gotta make the time for the things you enjoy. Sometimes I play a lot of games. Sometimes I don't play any. Like, I usually go in spurts.
Yep.
Like I'll have like several weeks where I just don't touch anything, and then I'll find like, hey, I feel like I got this Saturday. I'm just gonna sit here and play this game all day. What do you think, Fisher? You've got both. You got a job that's creative. You like to play games, and you also have a young child.
Yeah, I mean, I like, to be honest, lately I've found more time. Like, I've actually found time to fit in some Silksong. It helps that you could take that at Switch anywhere. I do some unhealthy playing in bed before I fall asleep, but to be honest, I think I've kind of done a bad job of it the last couple of years. I've got the stuff we're into, right? But like, remember, we record this podcast every 2, sometimes more weeks. And sometimes I'll like have a video game that I'm like, I played a few hours of this thing, right? Like, I, over the last couple of years, just haven't had as much time to play games. And it actually got to a point maybe 6 to 9 months ago or so where I was like, I wasn't getting enough input, right? Like I find playing games creatively relaxing and like stimulating as you see how other people are doing things. And like, I find, I like to get away from games sometimes. I do like to absorb some games, and I just wasn't playing enough of them. And I actually had to be like, you need to play more games. Mm-hmm. Honestly, a tool, when I kind of was facing that, I think the most important tool that helped free up my time was I tried to quit my phone. Like, I installed an app that puts a 10-second timer that anytime I open whatever apps I put on a list, and I can put a little customized message that shows over the timer. And so I basically just yells at me. I yell at myself. And so like, because basically like,
not a bad
stupid
idea.
Scrolling was filling the cracks, right? Anytime I had like 10 or 20 minutes in my life, I'd be like, oh, this is too short of a time to do anything. Let me scroll. And so this was literally like consuming my life, right? Mm-hmm. And so doing that, I now like, I'll sit down and boot up Silksong, like, because the Switch just goes on standby, right? And I'll like just play a little Silksong in those 20 minutes before I need to go pick up Wyatt or something. And like, that's been the biggest way to gain back time that I've had in recent memory is trying to fight this stupid thing.
Yeah. How are you fighting your cell phone, Evan?
Oh, like I mentioned earlier, I'm trying not to. Well, I should mention, both Fish and I found ourselves at Anders' like show a couple weeks ago, and I ended up meeting a bunch of old classmates of mine.
Oh, nice!
A bunch of them have kids, and we were talking kids, and one of them was talking about how they can become monsters with tablets and pads and things. So iPads and phones, and so now I'm really worried about that. And I just sort of like in the morning, I just kind of I leave my phone upstairs when I come down, and because I get up way before everyone, and that's when I get my gaming. Like this morning, I got up at 4, and I played. I'm trying to get all the trophies for Final Fantasy Rebirth. I'm back at that. But the only time I played is like 4:30 to like 6, and then that's it. So I have a very small window of time which I need to, be very economic with. And like Fischer said, the phone doesn't help because it's so easy to just start scrolling. And I get filled with this this kind of like bitter anger, like it wants me to look at it, like it's getting me. It got me. So like that helps me like resist it. It's kind of like when I used to play Grand Theft Auto online, I would always go for like the deadliest opponent, even though they would just kick my ass every single time. I was just so like, I don't know, stubborn that I would just continually go after that one character, that one player, until I would just get him once. So that's how I feel about my phone right now. It's not healthy, but
that sounds like a better attitude to have towards your phone than just acceptance. I
honestly, if there was like if there's an EMP that went off that only destroyed phones, I wouldn't care.
Oh, I agree
at all.
I agree. That'd be something else.
I remember when I got let go from a job years ago, I was filled with like, relief. And I feel like I'd feel that same relief if that happened to phones.
Yeah. Wow.
I feel like
I'm right there with you.
I think that like most of us, if everybody lost their phone, right? If there's a certain FOMO, right? You have to be connected, like everybody else is connected. But if everyone's phone just spontaneously blew up and we were all in the same boat, I honestly think we as a society would probably on average be happier. Like even like very consciously, I think a lot of people would be like, "Oh, thank God."
Yeah. Exactly. People just want the permission to not have to do that. I was just thinking about that earlier today. Like my stray thoughts wandered to the exact same place, Fischer, where I was like, I feel like I have to have this phone. I feel like I have to be paying attention to all these things. And I'm like, it's just not really. It is just a choice ultimately, but it'd be nice to have that choice taken away so you don't have to make it, because it's a hard choice to make.
It's like a Deus ex machina. Is that the expression?
Yes.
Intervention. From above. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or the machine. What was it before, Fisher? It's the machine from the.
It's like the god of the machine, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't it? It's because like it was actually a god on a god in a crane in like the theater that would come down and like explain the ending away.
Right. Yeah, you explained. Yeah, that's what you explained that before. Yeah, that was cool.
I never knew that. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for the question, God of Toast. This next one comes in from Gazebo Placebo. Maxine, could you read this one?
Yeah, Gazebo Placebo asks, question for Andrew N. I recently pulled out my FFG copy of Cosmic Encounter and noticed your name in the credits. Did you do art direction on the aliens? And if so, were there any you enjoyed the process most on?
So thank you for noticing. If you looked in the credits, you'd see that no, I did not do the art direction for Cosmic Encounter. Zoe Robinson did that art direction. But I did do the illustrations of a couple aliens in there. The big, the ones that are just balls of energy, those are mine.
Do you remember what their names were?
I don't. I was going to go grab my copy, but I didn't. I also did one later on, a ninja that was more figurative. It was like a four-armed Storm Shadow ninja guy.
Awesome.
Who's partially transparent. But yeah, at that time I just did the energy aliens. I also did all the tokens, and I did the graphic design for the box. I did that logo. It's one of my favorite logos.
Did you do antimatter?
Maybe. Is it a ball of energy?
It is. The mind is kind of a brain with an eyeball in the center of a ball of energy.
Yeah, that's probably not me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just energy, swirling energy. And I did the illustration for the warp. I did that illustration.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
The little ship that comes with it, the little satellites. We changed them for the edition. So yeah, I guess it also depends on what edition you're playing. If you're playing the newest edition, I think we changed the the tokens, tried to update them. Ultimately, I didn't like them as much as my originals, but we did try to make them cooler. I don't know if we succeeded. I don't remember that we did, but yeah, that was great. That was a fun project to work on. That was one of the most prolific times of working at FFG. So many board games, so much stuff we were doing. Working on Battlestar Galactica at that time as well. Game of Thrones, the card game. Call of Cthulhu, the card game. We were just getting the Warhammer license at that time. It was an exciting time. All right. So we've gone several episodes without touching on any Hub World Eidolon. So I thought we'd move up the Hub World Eidolon questions here move them up to the front of the queue. And then so I'll ask this first one from Vecwith, who asks, are there any plans to release more print and play Hub World decks as the game evolves? What do you think about that, Fischer? Should we do more? Should we do more decks?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot. You make the what we print decision.
Yeah, well, so the short answer is we don't have any plans for that, but
yeah, but I think we really liked the demo deck that we put out. And we think it offers a nice experience to try out the game. So I could definitely see a world where we do some kind of demo deck experience updated for the final cards, because obviously the one we put out wasn't the final card templates, or a lot of the designs have changed during playtesting since then. So I could see doing another demo deck maybe as print and play, or mass production. I could so I could see a few things like that. But to Andrew's point, our primary focus is the sets, right? One of the beauties of the way we've structured the way Hub World will release is that it is your draft cube, it is the set you'll play with, it's every card you need, the copies you need to play competitively, right? It is this that is the primary unit that the cards come in, and we don't want to dilute that too much with all sorts of other ways and confusing ways that confuse how you get into the game, right? It's very clear right now, buy this, you have everything you need, right?
Yeah. I could see us maybe doing another demo deck, but I could also see us maybe only having one demo deck ever to be able to get. So we might start with one demo deck and then replace it down the road with a different one. Doing print and play. I think doing a print and play is a cool way of doing it, because it does give you an opportunity to at least try the game out, so you don't have to do the big investment. But whether or not people do that, continue to play that way ongoing, yeah, that's not the goal. But maybe some people could enjoy it that way. Just drop $20 at a time, just get new deck every year or so. Print and play is pretty low investment on our part, so it's relatively easy to do. All right, Evan, could you read this next one from Sweaty Bob?
Yeah. Sweaty Bob asks, back in 2020, Team Covenant did a series on their podcast called How to Ruin a Game. They discuss how some games would release a set or an expansion that would change how the game is played so much that the core mechanisms felt useless or pointless. An example being Android Netrunner, with new sets coming out, new decks emerged that changed the meta so much that it wasn't about scoring agendas or protecting your servers anymore, but other objectives. Would you be afraid of that happening to Hub World Eidolon, or would you be fine with it, and why?
We couldn't figure out if we'd answered this question before, so apologies if we've talked about this before, but I don't think
we've talked about it a bit, but I don't think we answered this specific question. We definitely have talked about this general topic of how we are planning to expand Hub World Eidolon and avoid these issues, but I think we can always reiterate.
I mean, from a very we can zoom in and talk a little more crunchy specifics, but from a very high level strategic view, I'm not that worried about it, because one of the main people piloting Android Hub World Eidolon's design right now is Michael Boggs, who helped with kind of correcting some of those issues on Android Netrunner. He's very cognizant of it, he's very aware of it, and he's very good at kind of reinforcing the core cycle of his own game. So from a very strategy level, I have a lot of trust in Michael to continue to reinforce that and not accidentally drift into that very problem.
Yeah, I just hearing him talk about, what is it called, his ABV? Wasn't there some
yeah.
that was
balance value or whatever?
Yeah, I was so impressed with that bookkeeping and stuff that I can't imagine.
I do think it's only natural for a game to like change and evolve over time. But, you know, ideally not to the extent that you're not engaging with the core mechanics. Like, yeah.
Yeah, he asked, like, you know, would be afraid of it? Would we be fine with it? I definitely say we wouldn't be fine with it, right? Like, we want the game to be about the core mechanics, and, you know, different sets will, and in different periods of the game will focus on different ways to explore those core mechanics, and there probably will be some alternate victory conditions that drift in and out of the game. I guess over development, it'll probably happen. But our focus will be on keeping that core there. And I think our, you know, like every set being kind of designed as this island that can be played and limited by itself, combined with fairly aggressive rotation set to, like, you know, it's every couple of years, but for us, it's only every 4 sets. It's gonna, one of the ways that these things can kind of drift is by like certain strategies becoming the way to accomplish something, right? Like, oh, fast advance and Netrunner becomes so good that like your agendas should never be on the board for the runner's turn, right? Like that kind of eliminates running, right? And so it's just because a certain strategy got so dominant, but we'll be able to kind of rotate stuff out to prevent that from happening, long term at least.
So I think maybe Sir Carter here has a good follow-up to this. It says, asks, what's your strategy for countering overly siloed cards / archetypes or railroaded design? I'm not sure what I mean by railroaded design in this question, but maybe you do.
Are they kind of talking about like railroaded deck strategy? Is kind of how I interpret the question.
Yeah, that's my assumption. If it follows the theme of the previous.
I mean, like in some ways, there are some slightly siloed archetypes in our deck building system, simply because they are literally siloed into the card colors, right? To play a mono green deck, you need to go to play certain cards that like enable certain archetypes. You need to go fully into green, which does limit your card pool to the green cards, right? Which is going to silo that a bit.
But that's common though. I mean, that's just good factioning, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. And like, you know, our factions, a couple important things are that like the factions never have a singular thing going on. They always have kind of a couple different elements. And ideally, in the kind of the way we've planned out our sets going forward, when you play sets with each other, so in like a constructed environment, the mechanics that a faction or that sets that are next to each other that will be in standard at the same time have mechanics that kind of have emergent interactions. So they'll kind of give new context to each other when you're playing them together, and that helps a lot. The other thing is like, you know, I've talked about his podcast before. I don't know if I could fully endorse it because it is very rambly, and that's coming from a 2-hour podcast where we answer your questions.
Don't ramble at all.
Mark Rosewater
always on task.
Mark Rosewater talks a lot about this in some of his podcasts from kind of last decade. He talks a lot about a parasitic design as his term for these cards, where they are very reliant on an archetype or each other. And so far, Eidolon has very much avoided parasitic cards, ones that only enable, you know, like, oh, this thing buffs steel specifically, right? So you can only play it with other steel cards. That's a parasitic mechanic because now it needs steel cards to function. Mm-hmm. Eidolon has stayed fairly programmatic and kind of emergent in the way its rules interact. So that's kind of helped us a bit there. But you know, we'll see as the game evolves. Obviously, this is still very kind of early.
Yeah, I was going to say, give us 30 years and we'll see.
Yeah, it's very easy to kind of speculate about this stuff. When it gets more challenging is like, when we're on set 12 and trying to do mechanics and like implementations of our base mechanics that still feel new and not repetitive to our established fan base. That's when we start that's when things get a little trickier. And hopefully we have the design space for that. I think we do, but we shall see.
Yeah, well, there's always rotation, so we can always bring back old things in new ways because they'll have left the environment years prior. So I think that's also a great advantage. All right, so Sir Carter also has a second question, but I because of how it's written, I feel like I should do it in a Southern accent. So I'm going to do that just for fun. With a split focus on limited and constructed, how y'all balancing card design between the two? I know it's not going to be possible to have every card be a banger, but in general, what's the strategy for avoiding design draft chaff?
Well, like,
wonderful.
Some cards are always going to, it's all relative, right? Like, card value is relative. So even if you squish the power disparity between your worst cards in a set and your best cards in a set, there's still worst cards and best cards. The disparity is just lower, right? So there's always going to be worse cards in the set. But like, we're not a collectible game, so we don't need to have like chaff, right? We don't. It's just not necessary in the game from like a kind of distribution side of things.
Yeah. Our chaff is more subjective, I would say. I think like when you sit down to play, like they might, or just the way that the draft goes, you might be like, well, this card is garbage to me now, but it's going to be great for someone else.
Is that what you mean by chaff? It's just a throwaway card? A filler or something?
Yeah.
Huh.
And Magic's gotten a little away from this. There was a philosophy for a while where there was just explicitly bad cards in sets. Things that
Pokemon
kind of like,
still has this. Anytime you do a collectible game, like you just want the vast majority of the pack is filled with garbage, sadly.
And so a lot of what we do, this kind of gets back to that other side of the question, is like play to archetypes, right? Like you try to make cards that are going to be useful in certain archetypes, but not useful in others. So they're chaff to some people, but valuable to others. And then ideally, like, if an archetype is kind of underserved, underexplored, or just kind of bad in a set, we can do things in future sets to hopefully buff it. So that thing that was kind of chaff in a previous set becomes relevant. But we're not designing some like 3/3 bear that's never going to be relevant, right? That's just, we don't need it in our game. And so we just kind of remove those. It does result in a set that is a little more mechanically dense than a Magic set. Magic has like, it's just kind of vanillas. And while we do have some like base economy cards and base enablers, it means that every one of our cards does a bit more, which upsides and downsides. On one hand, we do have less of that chaff for you. On the other hand, it does make like drafting, for example, a little more intimidating because like, you can't just write off a chunk of the cards you just picked up. And that's part of the reason we stage the number of cards you look at through the draft, so that you're not looking at a whole pack of 15 right at the get-go when you're making those early decisions, because it would just overwhelm you.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. That concludes our Hub World Eidolon section. Keep those Hub World Eidolon questions coming in. I'm sure we'll have some more once we go back up with the late pledges, which is also coming relatively soon.
I'm super energized about Hub World Eidolon questions right now because we just started playing new cards internally. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We just started doing the internal test on set 2. Playtest date on Thursday, right? Thursday afternoon.
Yeah,
that's the plan right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
I built 2 more decks today.
Oh wow! How many do you have now?
3.
3? Okay.
Yeah.
So you're excited about it? It's looking good so far? From your opinion, Meg?
I'm super excited. Yeah. The deck building in set 2 is really fun.
Michael's taken some swings, which I appreciate. I think you should take swings in the early design, but there's a couple things that I suspect are going to
yeah, there's at least 2 cards I can think of right off the top of my head that are like, this is gonna change.
Like I was like doing my initial review when Michael was like submitting designs early on, and like Maxine and I were sitting in a coffee shop, and there were a couple where I just stopped and I'm like, let me read you a card, Maxine.
I appreciate that though. I'm never one to shy away from taking wild swings.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is the time to do so. You do it early, right? Like
yeah,
design. Absolutely. Yeah, you do it early, and then you do it right before you go to press. Both of those are the best.
Yes, those are the 2 times. Yeah.
All right, so we're on to Rangers questions. Let's see here. Evan, could you read this question from our good friend Turd the Third?
Yes. The branching narrative is one of my favorite aspects of VBR, Earthborne Rangers. How do you manage all of the branches as they sprout and develop, and sometimes get pruned during the design process? Sorry, I just kind of ruined that part.
That's all right. You're doing like a Christopher Walken read. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Are the different permutations mostly kept in your head, or do you use some kind of spreadsheet or mapping tool to keep them all straight?
Fischer, Maxine, what are the 2 you have on this one?
Yeah. There is a tool that we use, actually. I can't speak to what was done during the course of it, although I think I know that Fischer did use this tool as well. But we've used Twine, which is a piece of software for mapping out. It's, I mean, effectively for like choose your own adventure sort of stories, right? But it can create like a little storyboard for different moments in time, and you can link them together, with Twine, essentially, to like create a sort of mad scientist blueprint of your story. I actually was first introduced to this when I was working on the Innsmouth conspiracy for Arkham, but started using this more extensively in Rangers to map out like branching missions and stuff like that. And it's really fun to look at once you're done with it, and you can kind of see like the flow of everything, and it looks all nice.
I pointed at you to go first because I did not use Twine on the core set.
You didn't? Okay.
Your answer is much better. Like, we use Twine a bunch. I had developers use Twine when I was digital director over at Fantasy Flight, like for people who we didn't want to train in our whole Unity backend, but we wanted to do some of the branching narrative design. We would often have them use Twine because it was more accessible. When I got started Rangers, I was like, well, this campaign structure is simpler than the stuff we were doing there. I don't need Twine. I'll just create a big old InDesign document that's like 40 inches by 40 inches, and I'll just like use it as this whiteboard to create a physical flowchart, which worked great on first draft. It was a beautiful first draft. And then I started needing to make edits, and it was an editing nightmare to keep upkeep as we like made changes. And like, I think when you came on, I might have recommended like, dusting off Twine for this.
Yeah.
I was like, I had just been coming out of like corrections hell where I was trying to untangle my mistakes. So the approach you're using now is better than the approach I used on the core set, Maxine.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, you become so familiar with it that it gets in your head. And like, I used Twine to like map it out at first. And then I kind of abandoned it after like halfway through because I just had it all in my head and I knew it so well that I didn't need it as much anymore. Also, like, the stuff that I'm working on now is a little smaller than like Legacy, which is like enormous. But we'll see. Working on some bigger stuff now, so
that's right.
might have to dust off Twine again.
I recommend it. I remember Fischer, us having a conversation when we were working on the core game, where I think you were lamenting it being in InDesign, and we talked about like maybe we should just move it to Twine. You're like, that'd be too much work to do that too. I'll just leave it here.
Yeah, well, at that point, I was very sunk cost fallacy on the whole thing.
Yeah,
because like we were so close to the end, and it was just some extra elbow grease to keep updating the InDesign map to fix our problems. And yeah, Maxine, I agree. Like at a certain point, you have it all in your head until Sean comes to you and says like, okay, when X happens while Y is true, Z starts to happen, and then if they do this at the exact same time, and then your brain starts kind of being like, Wait, what?
It's like, technically, if you do this and then this and then this in this exact, very specific order on this day, your whole story gets borked. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
jeez. Great.
Then I need the map.
Yeah.
I think if you discover a weird thing where something happens, like a bug that isn't really destructive, you should just keep it because it's fun, you know.
We actually talked about that recently.
Really?
Yeah,
we have done that. I mean, some of them are just so, like, the odds of them occurring are so astronomically long that it's like, we could change it, but, you know, if it happens 1 out of, I don't know how many thousand times, that's probably fine.
That sounds like an awesome achievement.
Don't we have an achievement for one of them? Did we put that one in where you could where you sequence break?
Yes, you can. We have one for sequence breaking the thing. I think we do.
We talked about it. I don't remember if it made the list.
Yeah.
As a fan of speedrunning, I'm a fan of keeping that stuff in and having sequence breaks because I think it's fun. And then the players will seek it out and find weird ways to mess with the story.
Yeah. To answer one of your other kind of questions about how we prune or manage that, our understanding of that process has grown a bit. You'll see in like original printing core sets, like a lot of things will complete by specific missions. And then there's this tool that kind of got introduced in some of our errata and like in later printings, and then is used heavily in Legacy of the Ancestors, where instead of completing some missions by name, we'll say things like complete all of this trait of mission. And like these are some tools that we use. It's kind of an oh shit cleanup step where we kind of like, no matter what weird variants are going on, we now know that none of those missions are on your board anymore. Like memory. We could just we wipe it clean to have a clean slate to start doing more variants again, to not have these rogue elements kind of drifting into the next phase of our branches. So we've gotten better at creating more elegant tools, because we used to do it like all by name and we'd miss things and stuff. So that is a tool, along with a couple other techniques in the campaign guide that you'll see, especially in Legacy, that helps us a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So since this came up, I'm going to skip ahead a couple questions to this one from Grisamentum. Will there be achievements for Legacy of the Ancestors? And if so, when might we expect them? Evan, what do you think? You want to do some do some more illustrations? You don't have enough to do. So
I was thinking, when I read that question, I was thinking like, well, there's some housekeeping that happened with all of our design files at a certain point. And I have to talk to Joe about where those might have gone to, because I have no idea. And I have to, and then once we find those design files, I have to remember my process. So, but once that happens, I'll be more than happy to make a few more.
Well, we do also need to we need to design some. I think the core game ones like were at top of mind almost immediately, but we also had a lot less going on at the time, so it was a little bit easier to do. I hadn't really given a whole lot of thought, honestly, to the LOA ones. I think we could totally make them. I think that could be fun. I guess
Luke and I had a couple ideas during design for them, for a couple good ones. So I think there's some pretty good options. I'm kind of inclined to potentially wait a while. A lot of people are still just discovering the core set now, because a lot of them got it as part of the reprint. I think it might be cool to do like a push of achievements for a handful of expansions at once, right? Where we kind of like cover some of our supplemental material all in one big like push of some achievements and some other digital resources all at the same time. So you might have to wait a little bit before. They're very much kind of viewed as this like late game content or like post game or second new game plus kind of content. So I just don't hold your breath is my my take on this, unless you disagree, Andrew.
No, I actually like that idea of maybe like doing smaller lists and then combining them with perhaps new things that are coming.
Yeah. I love
idea.
writing achievements. They're so much fun to write. So
yeah, I guess
I'm into that idea.
We did them without cute little icons, like
well, then
I mean, if we did it without the art, I could whip them out like real fast.
Well, where's the fun in that?
Yeah, the art is so cute.
Yeah.
We could make achievements, then have fans draw different cute icons for them.
There we go.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Could be fun. That could be fun.
Like the playtester art that we had.
I think also too, like just finding a way for people to discover them. You know, they're very buried. I think like I've been spending a little bit more time in the fan Discord last couple weeks, just for fun, just to see how everybody's doing. And I saw someone post, I think just today, like kind of the classic, like, this is a little too easy. Like, what's, when this is good, should we, what should we do? I'm bringing this to my friends. We need to make it harder. And all the questions come up, like, what do you, like, where are you in the game? Like, what have you been doing? Like, I think maybe we just need to do more work in the rule book to like say, hey, invite stuff. Because I was just thinking like, well, you want something hard? How about you going into day 4 with a search mission active? Like, you want to be obliterated? Like, sure, go. There you go. There's a perfect opportunity for you. But I think the achievements can be like that too, like where they are challenging. Or some of them are just kind of goofy fun. But trying to do those things, I think, is a way of also introducing, more challenge into the experience if that's something that you're looking for.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. Back to the top here. Maxine, here's a question I'll throw your way, and this is another conversation we can have coming from Diesel.
Sure.
Has the team considered adding physical or printable rewards for completing one-day missions? What do you think about that?
I would love to. It's just another one of those instances of like, is it worth the resources that we would need to devote to it? Because like, obviously that'd be super cool, and it wouldn't cost us anything to make available if we just put a POD on our website or something. Mm-hmm. Just like the one-day missions themselves. But they require art, and art is one of, if not our greatest, like, choke points. So is it worth it? I don't know. I can't make that call. It would be cool though. I know that when I made the animal rescue one-day mission, a lot of people were saying like, oh, it'd be so cool if you got to earn the animal afterwards as a companion. And then a fan actually made those. Made
nice.
the 4 or the 3 different animals. And that's awesome. So I guess the real answer is if you want to make them yourself, that's also totally an option.
Yeah, well, I've been exploring some things, and I think that it could be kind of interesting just to make these available as more of a product, a physical printed thing. And I think if we did that, then we could totally spare the energy. I think that the Rangers art is going really well right now. I think Evan and our freelancers we've been working with pretty steadily now for the last several years are in a nice rhythm. They're doing great work. Angus has been doing some really awesome stuff recently. Angus R. Hayes, I think, I've really been happy with his stuff. And obviously Wayne's been doing awesome stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I don't think it would be too much to throw another card or two into their onto their workload. I think we definitely have the bandwidth. So it's interesting. We'll consider it, Diesel. Thank you for the suggestion. SM Tilson, who has another question later on. We have a couple repeats of our most prolific question writers. SM Tilson asks, was the card Altogether Now inspired by the song of the same name from the Beatles album Yellow Submarine? I don't know
if we have the person here to answer that. I think Davi named that card. Did he name that, or did you name that, Andrew?
I think we renamed it.
Yeah, it got renamed.
Okay. Did we rename it? Okay.
Yes. And I renamed it so I can confidently say no, it is not named after a Beatles song.
Even subconsciously?
Who can say at that point? Yes. No, I struggle to even think of what that song is. I'm not much of a Beatles guy.
Altogether Now.
Yeah, I'm more Led Zeppelin. I'm a Led Zeppelin. If the Beatles versus Led Zeppelin, like, I'm strongly in the Led Zeppelin camp.
Is that like a rivalry? Is that a particular head to head.
I don't think
happens?
it was. I don't think it is anymore. But like back when classic rock was still kind of classic rock, 30 years ago, I think there was kind of a like, who is the best band of all, best rock band of all time?
I was going to say it was definitely a dichotomy on my dad's tape deck. Like on our road trips growing up, there was a lot of Led Zeppelin or Beatles. Yeah. Like he would go
Beatles
them.
for me.
Led Zeppelin for me all the way.
Yeah.
I barely even know Beatles songs, honestly.
When it came to road trips, it was Beatles all the time. But I prefer Zeppelin, I think.
Let's go.
I remember when
we're all on the right side of history.
Yeah. When me and my college friends were playing Rock Band all the time, and then Rock Band Beatles came out, and everyone wanted to play that one, and I'd be like, oh, man. I don't know any of these songs.
This is a great question here. This is maybe it could be a long one. We'll see. Maxine, would you mind reading this lengthy question from Adam?
Absolutely. Adam asks, I'm part of a couple game night groups who mostly play competitive Euros, but past good experiences I've had bringing co-ops to these gatherings inspire me to try introducing them to EBR. I'd really appreciate learning more about your favorite ways to teach the game and to hear any of your thoughts about introducing EBR to a tabletop gaming group that may not be as familiar with card games, or continue on to campaign together. Would you just start with the prologue? Do you have a favorite one-day mission you use for an intro? More generally, any uncommon wisdom to share about your experiences teaching the game?
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
Yeah, I think Adam, that's it's very admirable of you to try to introduce Earthborne Rangers to a group that plays mostly Euros. It's a pretty big.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big leap.
We are not
that's
very
a big
Euro.
Departure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's decidedly non-Euro. I think when people, I remember playtesting with someone very, very early on with Rangers, who was not a big card gamer, more of a Euro game player. And granted, we've made tons of changes to the design since this happened. Like this was like literally, I think in 2020. But I remember like seeing how much he thought the colors mattered, or the ways that he thought the colors mattered were very different than the ways that we were saying the colors mattered. And he was like looking for things to match, and like his mind was like focused on much more simplistic interactions based on shapes and colors in a different way. Those same interactions still exist, but you have more of a card gamer mindset, I think. You don't get caught up that way. But I thought it was interesting to see how much he struggled. We ended up actually making a few changes based on that, on his feedback. But yeah, like what do you think? I think this is like interesting because it's specifically for a group that is used to playing other games. I don't know if that changes your guys' thinking on it at all.
I think, and Fisher, you feel free to like overrule me, but I think unless you are planning on continuing onto a campaign, I don't know if I would start with the prologue, because the prologue's main like huge benefit of the prologue is that it helps you build your deck. If you're just trying to teach them how to play the game to see if they're interested in it, I would maybe take the pre-made decks that we have off of the internet. That's how we demo the game at like conventions and stuff.
Yeah, an important note is that the prologue does not teach you how to play the game.
Right.
It is not a full tutorial. It is just this prologue that kind of constructs your characters. We talked
sets
about
the mood. Sets the mood.
Yeah, sets the mood.
Yeah.
We decided not to have it fully teach you the game just because we didn't really have the space or the bandwidth to basically write a whole nother rule book that is like in character. So at the time we just didn't have that. And so that's why the prologue is the way it is. But it does not. So I totally agree, Maxine. I just wanted to jump in and clarify that that you're not jumping to the prologue expecting it to teach the game. Somebody at your table should know the game and be prepared to kind of teach it around the prologue, even if you're playing that.
Yeah. And similarly, I don't know if I would use the one-day missions either, because they're designed to be pretty tough. Or at least a little tougher than your average Rangers experience. I would maybe just teach without a mission and just say, here's the world, explore,
Yeah, I think that's a really fun way of doing it. I enjoy playing that way, where essentially you just you turn off the 1.0 entries and you just walk around and do cool stuff. I think that's definitely a way to do it. But yeah, you are going to have to do the work. You, Adam, talking to you. You would be the one to have to do the work to teach them how to play. And I think I would also really recommend, if you haven't already looked at any of our video resources, we have a lot of tutorial videos on our channel, and there's been a couple great tutorials that other people have done. Team Covenant's video is really great, albeit a little long, but really an excellent tool. And RTFM did one as well, which is also very good. And there might be others out there, but those are two that are really great. And there's our own videos that I think are pretty good as well. So so definitely use all your resources. If you know your friends better than we do, like I could send my friends links to videos, they're not going to watch it. They're going to come over and have me teach them.
Before a recent game of TI, I forced everybody to watch the video.
Did it help?
Did they?
Oh yeah, it helped a lot actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
And yes, they did. I even texted the group, and then I texted individuals that I knew might not watch it like the day before, and I was like, "Did you watch the video yet? What does Shay say near the end?" Like,
you quizzed them. That's awesome.
But I agree with that earlier statement that like just introducing it without a mission is a great way to start, and like that's almost what we do when we teach at cons. I've actually got I wrote up this whole guide for other demoers on how to teach our game, and we put out a mission, but it's a search mission that you cannot complete while you're at a ranger station, and then we start you at a ranger station so that we can effectively say, this is a mission, this is what you're trying to do, but right now it's not relevant until you leave here. So the first thing you need to do is travel. So their only objective is to travel, and they're at a pivotal location, so they're going to start seeing and running into people. So this gets to this shows them the characters they can run into and how side activities work, and then how travel works before they even care about a mission. And so I think that's, you could just throw them in, throw them onto a location, play a few rounds, have them travel once or twice, and then just cut it there and say that was kind of your intro experience. Now you can kind of customize your decks now that you understand the game a bit more. And that could be a good kind of session 0 before you dive into the beginning of the campaign, if you feel like you want to train them a little bit. Otherwise, though, the first mission, pretty simple, pretty forgiving, and basically already does that. So you can also just jump in, like Maxine said, use the pre-made decks, jump in to day 1, and then, maybe just let them change up their decks after day 1. Breaks immersion a little bit, but it helps them be more invested in their character.
Yeah. And if they do like the game and want to play more, then you can always go back and do the prologue and start fresh if you want to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I think maybe a decent follow-up to that one is one from Braid's Mama, who has a couple questions here. First one I'll ask is, what are your thoughts on difficulty scaling on player counts going forward? Some ways the game is easier for a solo player, like clearing cards or require you to move the ranger token there, but in most cases, solos feel much more difficult. Will this be the same for future campaign expansions? Maxine, tell me about future campaign expansions. Will this be the same?
I mean, I think to an extent, yes. Although there are some clever player scaling things that I know I've done on specific missions. There's a mission in one of the products that we were just looking at that has some really interesting, like the difficulty of the test is 1R, like that kind of thing. So like we're always tweaking it to try to find the right balance, and we have playtest groups that play at 4-player, playtest groups that play at 1-player, playtest groups that play everything in between. So we get a lot of data that we can use to our advantage to like kind of tweak things. But to a certain extent, like part of that is just going to be in the game. Like ranger token cards are going to be a little, well, maybe easier in solo, maybe harder. Depends on your situation, I think.
Yeah, it's been interesting playing new stuff. So this is not applicable to anyone who's listening, but you'll find out eventually that you are discovering new ways of turning those knobs. I think in really cool ways. Like we just played something recently where I was like, oh, it was like the inverse of what the normal experience is with Ranger tokens at solo. Like where Ranger tokens at solo oftentimes are like, yep, all I'm doing is putting my token on this thing and it immediately evaporates because I'm clearing it. But this new card had far more impact solo when you had your Ranger token on it. It was interesting. It was very, very cool. So, and there's more things I think kind of like that to help scale the difficulty with other ways of playing around with the things that impact difficulties of tests beyond just the number of Rangers.
Yeah. I find the other interesting thing, like in multiplayer, you see a lot more interaction between the cards, which can be more or less difficult wildly depending on your situation and like what cards are in front of you. So like I wouldn't be surprised if there were some people who read that question and were like, oh, I find it to be the opposite, I think it's it varies greatly depending on like where you are, what path you're on, what mission you're on, like all of that stuff. Yeah.
Evan, how have you been finding your solo playthrough? Did you end up starting Legacy?
Not yet. I'm still trying to get that the ultimate reward at the end.
Complete the Valley Secrets.
I feel like I want to get that before I move on.
Nice.
So my experience with the Ranger token is clearing something just by moving my token to it, which is like I taught the game to 3 other people and I was surprised, like, oh yeah, that's right, my token stays here and it doesn't go away. Which is like it makes it a different experience for me because I'm such a solidly solo player these days. So
we were playtesting something recently where we had solo groups, and it was interesting to see how fast across the map you can travel in solo. If you're good, like if you know what you're doing and your deck is really well tuned.
Oh yeah, I hauled ass that
yeah,
that
you
game.
sure did.
yeah, especially if you can if you have a way of either dealing with obstacles or you never draw them, you can just
if you're just
fly.
Shape the earth,
just fly.
Yeah, shape the earth, just cruise.
Oh, but Shape the Earth is better in multiplayer.
Yeah,
it's very good in solo.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's good in solo too. It's just a good card.
Yeah,
it was my all-star card my last solo playthrough. But I mean 2 solo playthroughs ago, I guess.
There's the character I'm playing can scout the path deck in a number of ways.
Oh, that's really good.
I would just scout for like features and then populate, get a lot of features out and then just drop a bunch of progress on all of them, then funnel that into the location and just get out of there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, playing a card game, I love it. Braid Zama also asks, what is the reasoning for the ordering of the location cards? Generally, though, they seem to order from north/early campaign to south/late campaign, but not in a strict way. More importantly, why is White Sky location number 1?
Maybe that's
Fischer, why is White Sky?
Okay. So yes, it's basically pivotal locations first, then all the other locations, roughly north to south, because that's kind of roughly the progression the campaign takes. Is you could go wherever you want, but like the story roughly has you start in the north and kind of go down south. White Sky's first because of the vertical slice demo we made for the original Kickstarter. White Sky was at the center of that vertical slice demo, and much like Stilled Horses or some other random cards that are in the vestigial cards that are in the game, they're just a thing from the vertical slice that we never changed and are kind of still around. So Lone Tree should be number 1. It should totally be the first card. It's dumb that not. But it's too late.
I mean, does it matter?
Not really.
In the grand scheme of things.
You start at Lone Tree. It's the home of the Rangers.
Yeah.
It should be the first card,
It should be the first card.
That's fair.
Yeah, we've talked about it, but yeah, it's too late. It would cause so many issues to move it. It's not worth it. Yeah.
Can't move it.
Yeah.
So there's that moment card, a deeper understanding. Well, there's going to be a reward called a much deeper understanding when you find out why everything's
super
ordered
deep
that
understanding. Yeah. Just to head up this question for future expansions, I have no rhyme or reason as to the ordering of the location, so sorry.
Keep you on your toes. Your toes. There's gotta be a reason behind it all. All right, we're getting pretty close. We're so we could be responsible and we could end now, or we could get through the remaining questions, of which we only have 3 more. So
yeah, and 2 of the 3 are people we've already heard from.
That's right. But we've backed these. This is a pretty big backlog, so I don't think they're pestering us in any way. Keep them coming, Braids Mama, SM Tilson.
Except for SM Tilson.
No,
you know what he did.
Yeah. All right, Evan, could you speaking of SM Tilson, could you read this one from SM Tilson here?
Yeah, I'm gonna read it like I'm some streamer that's reviewing something.
All right, let's do it.
I just got the lore book, loving it. I'm looking at the timeline and wondering, do people in the valley live longer than people now? It seems like Mora took over for her father 50 years ago, but she doesn't seem like a typical 70-year-old. Am I obviously guessing at her age? Also, her dad was steward of it for 60 years.
Yeah, this the Carbon Forge, steward of the Carbon Forge.
Oh, okay.
Yes, they do live longer. They live much longer. Yeah, the idea that we've kind of had is they're essentially like they live a little bit longer than hobbits, not as long as like a Númenórean from Lord of the Rings, but not too far off. Yeah, the idea being that they're more connected. There's healthier living, better life, and they're
no phones.
Yeah, no phones. Yeah,
no phones.
Yeah, less different kinds of stresses, more healthy stresses. They live to be 100 130 is not rare, and it really plays into how we conceive of the Rangers and like your characters, like that you have this background that was something you did like in your young adulthood, and then you have a specialization that is your occupation for sometimes 10 20 years, and then when you join the Rangers, you're like younger Rangers are in their like mid 30s, but that's kind of like a Hobbit mid 30s. That's kind of like almost like you're coming of age at that point. People live a long time, and I always really enjoy that. I always really enjoyed that. It was something I loved about Aragorn when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
They live so long.
Yep.
Yeah, we're not like talking like biblical character ages here. So, no one's, well, I won't say no one, but not many. It's not common to live that long. So this is pretty common to be like 130 years old. That's your pretty average life. So yeah, so like the way that we've kind of structured it is that the generation that you're playing as a Ranger, you're essentially like the first generation to really be born almost entirely in the valley, whereas the rest had deeper connections to the time from before, which I think is fun. That was an easy one. You can how about you can get this one from Braid's Mama. Maxine, can you read this one? And then this is more of a question for me. At least I have the answer.
Braid's Mama asks, just looked at the Spirit Speaker cards for the first time, and I was a bit surprised that they interacted with specific path cards from the core game terrain sets. I assume this means that these cards are stronger in the Lure of the Valley than in other campaigns. And is this an indication that these path cards will show up in future campaigns as well? I'd love to hear you discuss this topic in more depth.
Well, it's my fault that they have that ability. Yeah, I think when they were originally, well, they went through a lot of changes. Like I think the spirits and spirit speakers went through a lot, and Fischer can talk about it in a second. But I think when it came time to like getting them down to their final design, they didn't have any ability at all, they were essentially just the challenge effect was on those main those main spirits, and I just wanted a little bit more theme. Like I felt like I want a little something that's more Aatroxy than the just very utilitarian effect that it had. Same thing with the Sycobuck, or the Syco Spirit. So, and then what we landed on was like, oh, they interact with those very specific beings. And Devi and Fischer and I came to that through conversation. But that was my feedback, because I just wanted them to do something that felt more thematic to the being and less like ground up. Or was it instead of top down, it's the ground up,
bottom up. I mean, you wanted them to interact specifically with the being that they are a spirit of, right?
Yeah.
And like, to answer that question about if those beings will show up in other things, I can tell you it's not much of a spoiler that they don't show up underground.
Yeah.
But they do show up in the campaign, because you do encounter them above.
Yep. And we will be traveling to other places in some future campaign expansions that also don't have them, but they will make some reappearances in future stories as well, because the valley is still your home. So you will see them again, but you won't see them as much depending on the story that you're going through. But we're kind of okay with that, right? Like, these spirits are more at home in the valley, so they're a little more powerful. But ultimately, the main like game balance power that comes out of your spirits is that challenge effect. And that's honestly, I think, my biggest regret about these kind of more flavor effects that we put on them that interact. I actually really like them, and they like kind of tell the story of the spirit a bit better and interact with the fiction a bit more. But I think my biggest regret is that so many people now look at the card and they read the body text, they read the main text, and they think that is the card's ability. And for some of them, they're like, why do I want this? This seems super situational. But really, the thing about that card that the spirit speaker cares about, and that's amazing, is that challenge effect. And like, once you kind of see all those challenge effects working, they can really sing and be very, very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the engine that Devi built into the spirit speaker, and that is their main function. But I think, so like, I like how they turned out. They have their main function and a little flavor that like rewards you when you're in their kind of terrain set. My only regret is that people's attention immediately goes to the kind of like flavor effect instead of like their primary function, and people get a little confused.
And I think that's, it's totally understandable, because I think even when you're just trying to figure out, the spirit speakers are complex, and trying to figure out how they work just by reading the cards is tough. Like,
we even train you. We train you not to read every challenge effect, really. We say, don't worry about these till they fire, right? But then, like, the spirit speaker does worry about them a lot.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty much all you worry about.
As we've said before, the spirit speaker is definitely our most advanced specialty. This is for the player who really wants to make an engine and, like, who has some mastery over the systems. You can have, with the right spirit speaker deck, you can have a newer player play it, but it is and probably will continue being probably our crunchiest, most advanced specialty in the game.
Yeah. In my friends and I have been playing, and I think I've shared this on the podcast, but one of them is playing as a spirit speaker. He's his first time playing, and I was like, man, I don't know. And he also picked the most difficult role to play. So it's for the first few sessions, he was just dead weight. He's just not helping out at all. But after like session 5, he really started to figure it out. So it takes a little bit of time. But even if you're starting as a new player, if you're willing to struggle through for a few sessions as you wrap your mind around how the mechanics work and how you can help as a spirit speaker, then you can totally do it. Just know it'll take a little bit of warming up.
Yeah, for your newer player, give him 3 focus. Make sure there's a Lutrinol Spirit and an Aatrox Spirit in that deck, and you'll probably be okay.
Yeah, is that what what the precon has?
I believe so.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
I think I tried to make that one pretty like vanilla. Spirit Speaker has some cool tricks it can pull, but those two, do your add progress to features and add progress to beings effects, and so you just charge them by communing. Let them help you out on the field. Go. That's probably the Spirit Speaker at its most fundamental. So that's a good new player place to start.
Yeah.
And the precon. You can play the precon.
Absolutely. All right. Last question. Evan, can you read this one from Muir?
Yeah. Are there any details about the world beyond North America you feel up to sharing with projects like the Canadian glaciers and the Mississippian Sea? Where the sea levels in relation, or where are the sea levels in relation to today?
Well, so there are some details of the world beyond the Americas in the World Book. Or if you've not read that, there's a little spread at the end that talks about lands beyond the valley. So there's some detail there. Canada is in North America. Last I checked, as is the Mississippi Sea, and the sea levels. I've always imagined them as being higher, but we haven't really built the map out. I do have a sketch of like what the world looks like from like a little bit farther out, but we've not canonized that at all. So we can always change.
We haven't checked that map against like sea level current.
Yeah, and we're kind of like waving our hand at it, saying there's been a lot of like earth moving and stuff that's happened. So we can play a little fast and loose, which we already have a bit by putting a jungle beneath Colorado. So you never know what you might find, but I think our philosophy is still the same, where we're going to start here in the valley and then we'll move out from there. And we definitely have more stuff to share, but beyond North America, no plans to journey beyond the Americas at this point. It's already pretty big, and we've barely, like, even in development, like we've barely gotten a few miles outside of the valley. So going beyond the confines of the continent, it might be a bit, but we also might have opportunities to have people from beyond, kind of like Tala the Red or Renkobo, who are from outside of the valley and come in. So you get a glimpse at some of those other cultures by interacting with those characters as they come into the valley, and we will definitely have more of that down the road. You guys have anything to add to that?
No, I don't think so.
Right. So close. I was doing such a good job of like doing all the segues. Just to let 2 seconds of dead air there, and fall down on my hosting duties in the final stretch. All right, well, that was fun. We got through all of the questions. It was epic and lovely, and thank you everyone who wrote in. Continue to write in your questions. We love having them. It is, just like in radio, it makes our lives so much easier to have a call-in sections. This is essentially that. It helps us out a lot. So thanks for listening. Thank you for sending in your questions. And stay tuned. We'll have fun stuff to share with you next episode as I return from Delano, and we start the process of really getting ready for the new thing that is coming very soon. So stay tuned. Thanks for joining us. Follow us on our social media platforms. Reach out to the info box, info@earthbornegamespec.com. Check out our fan Discord. Chat there. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you all next time. Bye,
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.